Here's what I started with on the rack, and I had a extra hole there, and so I wanted to use that. Found this crazy thing in this new house I got. It's clearly some kind of a aluminum piece. It's crazy strong. So the beauty of this little piece is that when I'm not using the bike rack, it's just gonna sit there and poke out a little bit behind my case. So I drilled a couple holes here. Okay, honestly, those screws hold it on there way better than I hoped. I think now I'm at a point where I realize one of my design goals isn't going to be achieved. I really wanted it strong enough that it wouldn't rely on straps. And yeah, I got nothing for this lateral stability. I thought this would smack up tighter against it, but no. All right. I think under the stresses of a ride, I could strap this in really tight here and it would break this 2x4 like a twig. I don't know, not feeling it quite yet. I've come to face the facts here. While this might get me down the block, I can't see reinforcing this enough to make any sense. It's so far back, and it's really just not great. So what I realized is if my handlebars were actually up here, and I'm just going to strap it hard to that metal bar right there. All right, just completed the first ride. I made it 8 miles from home. Went on a short ride and headed home now. And yeah, it seems fine. It's to say that I can't feel it back there would not be true. It feels like about half a rider, half an adult rider. And I'm gonna take a strap and go from here around the handlebars and down on the other side, and then I'll feel 100% secure. I mean, it's definitely secure, but it'll be less moving around, etc. I didn't use that hose clamp, and this broke right here as I drove up my driveway and hit the bump at the bottom. That is depressing. Okay, so the rear mount failed. It cracked there. I sort of knew I needed a hose clamp on it to support the weight, and honestly, the morning of my test ride, I just couldn't find the hose clamp. But luckily, it made it the whole ride to the very end, and you can see my joint between the metal and the wood was aided by this epoxy putty. That stuff is really strong, and that part I had no worry about, but it was the actual aluminum bracket right here. But lucky for me, I came up with a much better design. So here's the original bit, and then I still had this cross section. And then I went and bought this angle iron, which just tends to tuck right in those grooves. I mean, it almost holds itself there. It fits so well. So I'm gonna hose clamp it here, and then hose clamp here with a couple of little L-shaped brackets like this. And then I'm gonna basically mold the epoxy putty to the little space on my bike right here that's gonna end up resting there. It's actually a complete improvement over version 1 all around.
So we did get Ty after all?
After all, we did.
Yay.
We got Ty after all. Okay. So the bike will just rest with the handlebars strapped, and it's just holding its weight on that poor case right now. I feel I bent that thing into shape pretty well. I'm going to put the epoxy in here and make a nice pocket just to test out the dimensions and stuff. I put this here. And the bike can nestle in there. I changed out and put that extra long nut here, and I'm going to put some epoxy between the nut and this bar to really support this bar, which is pretty strong, but it's not quite as strong as I want it to be. So I did push the piece of the bike into that cradle, and it should be hardening now. The epoxy's still not quite hard. That looks glorious. Very happy with that. Okay, just drove about 60 miles out here. Still on tight. Forgot to put my padding here. I hope I haven't rubbed off all the paint on the top of that one. About to find out that. Had a great ride. I definitely can feel, I can feel it. It's less than having a second full-size rider, but and it's nice because it never shifts around. But yeah, it's working. Love it.